You go.
Good morning, Tea Grabbers. It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for Goat Talk.
We
Good morning,
forgot to
Jodi.
decide who goes first.
We can never decide who goes first. Guys, today we're going to talk about getting your first deal or your next deal if it's been a while. Because believe it or not, some investors jump out of the gate, do 2 or 3 deals, and then don't do anything else. I think a lot of them feel like they were just lucky, but
Mm-hmm.
we're going to talk about how to put a plan in place to be consistent and produce some dependable income. So we'll be back in 45 seconds.
Get your coffee. I wish we could play that song all the way through the whole broadcast.
Okay, good morning, guys. Welcome to Go Talk for, gosh, what's today? The 22nd, August the 22nd. Month's almost over.
I know.
Yeah.
You
So
know, time is just flying by.
it is. You guys tell us good morning. Let us know who you are and where you're from. Good morning, Ron. Good to see you. Vincent, Tyrell, good to see you. Guys, don't forget, we have a giveaway every Go Talk episode now. We'll send you a cool Sub 2 Deals mug and a notebook and some other cool things. I think we've got a banner here somewhere to tell them what to do. All you have to do is share our live stream from YouTube, and I think that's in the comments. Share that on your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, Instagram, whatever you do. And
Did I show you guys how cool this is? I think I did last time. It's got the little notch thing in there so you can tuck it in and lock it up.
You'll be entered. It's hashtag shared, SHARED. Do that and then type that in your comments. I think that's how it works, isn't it, Jodi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. So anyway, let's see what else we got to talk about here this morning. Oh, I know what it is.
What?
The numbers tell us that 70% of the people that watch this on YouTube are not subscribers. I don't know why you wouldn't be, because we release videos just about every day. But if you will subscribe, then you'll get a notification every time we release a video. And again, like I said, that's just about every day. Sub2tv.com.
Yeah.
Is the
and if you're in the Facebook group, I mean, it might be easier instead of doing the registering in the StreamYard or whatever, maybe just go over to YouTube. And we can see who you are. And we can see who's commenting and whatnot.
Right. Okay.
And then other people can see your comments too.
For sure. All right. Also, since today's topic is how to get your first deal, and I know a lot of people have trouble talking to sellers, our giveaway today for our ebook is on handling seller objections and negotiating, and you can get that at sub2deals.com, NREA. You can go download that. It's absolutely free, and it'll help you with that stuff. So you guys get over there.
I just want to show you. Oops. I want to show you what a good boy Ryan is. This was his comment from Facebook, but then he just followed the instructions and went over to YouTube.
There you go. Well, that's what that is the sign of a good student. They do what they're.
That's exactly right. It is right.
That is exactly right. So you guys share it and type in #shared, and we'll give you some cool stuff here at the end. We'll have a drawing and do that. So we're talking about getting your first deal here today. And I want to say this starting out that, we all talk about no money needed, no cash, no credit, all of that stuff. The truth of the matter is, when it comes down to getting deals, marketing is going to be the key. Lead generation is 90% of what we do. It's the hardest part for sure. And you don't have to have money to do that, but it sure does smooth the ride. There are a lot of things that you can do that don't require a bunch of money, but just know this: when you get deals under contract, when you're doing things, there will be times that you need $20 to file a deed or some money to run a title report. It's going to happen. So the no money needed. Can you accidentally have that happen sometimes where you flip a house or you do something you don't need anything? Yes. But there are going to be times, especially with marketing. Wouldn't you agree, Jodi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As far as how to get your first deal. Now, Jodi and I had a couple of different experiences with getting our first deals. She did things that required money. I was broke as a joke, so I didn't. I used cold calling to get my first deal, and I think you did yours. How did you get your first one?
I did mailings, but I didn't really do. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of money because, well, there wasn't that many foreclosures, and that's who I mailed to. I just mailed to the most recent foreclosures in my town,
Right.
and so I maybe sent out 20 letters, and I got a deal out of my first deal out of that.
Right. Going back to what we were saying earlier about just following your teacher's instructions, most of you guys that know my story know that I got started with a Carlton Sheets course. And since I knew absolutely nothing about real estate, I had no choice. We didn't have a local RIA. There was no place to go to, no one really to talk to except people on the internet. And the internet 25 years ago wasn't what it is today. You didn't have lives like this. YouTube, I think, may have existed already, but it was just people posting a few cat videos or whatever. It wasn't really instructional. The gurus, when you bought courses, it came to you in the mail in a couple of weeks. They were on cassette tapes or whatever, and that's the way things were.
Forgot about that.
We got into things called chat rooms, and would talk. You'd make a post, you'd ask a question or whatever, and then you'd come back in 15 minutes or an hour and hope someone had answered you. So things weren't instantaneous. But I had no choice but to do step by step what Carlton Sheets said to do. And the big thing at the time there was calling FSBOs in the newspaper. Zillow didn't exist, guys. I know you young people don't get it, but you have things now that we never dreamed of at the time. So imagine this:
from caveman days.
Oh yeah, you're cold calling people that have paid money to put an ad in the newspaper because they're too cheap to pay a realtor. And it was a hostile environment. But ultimately, what I did was I called a few people every day until I got somebody to say, okay, you come see the house, let's talk about it. And ultimately, I wound up using a small local bank to purchase that house. But I thought I was creative as could be because I sat there with that banker that worked with investors. So he was familiar. Now, you talk about a rube. I walked into that office with my Carlton Sheets course under my arm, people. I'm not joking. I sat down there and I said, listen, I'm going to buy some houses.
And we like it. It's in here.
This
is what I'm supposed to do.
It's in there. I can do it. And he said, well, you're going to have some money. And I said, well, I didn't think I had to have any money down. So I'm trying to think creatively. And I said, well, he said, oh, yeah, on this deal here, we'll do it for you, but you're going to have to put $5,000 down. And I thought, what can I do? And I said, well, can I just give you $5,000 in the form of a CD? and that be in lieu of my down payment. And he rocked back in his chair and he said, yeah, we can do that. So all I did was go borrow money, off a credit card and buy and give that to them. And of course they put it in the bank and I earned interest on that every month. But that technically let me collect a check at closing for about $800. So man, I thought I was smart, but I bought a house technically with no money down, and that's how I did my first one. Now, Jodi, what did you do exactly? How'd that work out for you?
For my first deal,
Mhm.
well, I bought. God only knows why I decided to start out in short sales, but I did the most, step intensive, way to go. And I bought a course that was a pretty comprehensive course, and I decided I just was going to just grit my teeth and just do whatever it said on page 1, and then I was going to do what it said on page 2, and or chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and I just kept going until one day all of a sudden I had a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how the whole process worked. I just decided I was going to go just whatever the next step was, and that's all I was going to do. It was pretty blind. I was going blindly through it, but somebody, said, if you just do what you're, told to do, it'll work. And I'm like, okay, let's see how that works. But it worked.
Right. So you just follow the instructions, and the key is consistency, really. Something that you think may not work, if you just keep at it long enough, because all of these methods we're going to talk about today work. And we're going to talk about marketing today. We're going to talk about how to generate those leads, how to get people calling you, because once you do that, even if you don't have 100% of the knowledge, you either need to have someone there that can help you along the way, either somebody in your area or somebody, well, gosh, now on the internet, you can talk to somebody across the country that does what you want to do and can walk you through the process. But can you generate leads with no money? Sure you can. Okay. And there's several ways that you can do that. We like door knocking. I love door knocking and getting face to face with people. Now that might not be the best thing for you if you're terrified of negotiation, or if you're somewhat shy, or whatever the case may be. Now I'm not. I approach people with the intent to help them first if I can. We had a conversation with a lady yesterday that she called yesterday morning about 8 o'clock. Well, her auction is scheduled to happen in about 45 minutes. We did a door drop with her, door knocked, no one was home or answered the door. She's been on a postcard sequence since then. She calls us literally the day before the auction.
Yep.
And
yeah, it was in the morning. That's right.
Right. And a little bit more conversation turns out, okay, so I'm thinking, what can we do to try to help her? It's last minute, but we probably can do something. She's still living in the house. She had a loan modification in November, hasn't made a payment since then. Okay. So that pretty much shot down the bank working with her. The bank is actually ping-ponging her right now, back and forth. They're telling her she has to talk to the attorney. And of course, the attorney's saying, we can't do anything unless the bank directs us. So that's a problem. So we gave her some advice as best we could, but we're not going to buy that house with her still living in it. That's just something we're not going to do. We gave her a couple of options and told her to call us back if she was successful, but that's really all we could do at that point.
She didn't really even give us enough time to get a postponement.
Right.
Not based on the fact that they've already had it with her.
Right. Now, there are probably, a couple of things and I hear people recommend certain things all the time. As an investor, I'm not going to recommend to someone that they do things that may be detrimental to themselves so I can buy the house. I'm not going to do that. We did give her some options that would buy her some time to pursue whatever it is she wants to do. Of course, the lady wants to keep her house is what she wants.
But she doesn't have the income to support it. She says she does, but I really don't think they do.
Sure. So it happens. So door knocking, if you don't have a lot of money, door knocking is a great way. Pull your list of foreclosures. And you can do that at the county level in almost every place. Don't try to buy a list. Lists are outdated. And especially if you're in a state like Texas or Georgia that has a very short timeline, they're not going to do you, in my opinion, a whole lot of good. You need to be at the courthouse pulling that list weekly at least.
Even
And
if there is a longer period, I think it's still better if you are the first one they hear from.
right,
You be the first one.
right, for sure. It gives you time to develop a relationship, actually.
Well, not only that, but it's just like like how babies imprint on the first thing they see or whatever. I mean, it's kind of like that. They remember you the most first. So when they want to go back to you, to someone, they go to you, especially if you were, nice and sweet and helpful.
Yeah. Next on the list for me, of course, cold calling, calling people that have raised their hand and said they had a house for sale. It's as easy as picking up the phone. Everybody's got a phone, even if you're broke. You've got a cell phone, and they're listing houses every day for free on Zillow. They've got a house for sale. Craigslist is the same way. There are other FSBO sites that you can call and try to generate a conversation with them. Networking with agents and wholesalers. Things have slowed down just a little bit. I think I'm finding agents to be a little more open to a conversation.
A little less jerky.
Yeah, a little bit less. We've got a student right now that has a house listed for sale, and they were telling us on a recent coaching call that 2 different investors have sent communication to her agent, and her agent is presenting these offers in an enthusiastic manner. And these are for creative finance stuff. So as agents become a little bit more motivated to generate those commissions they've gotten used to, I think they're going to be open to more things.
Mm-hmm.
Driving for dollars, of course, is always good. You can go out and drive for an hour or two and probably collect, 10 or 15 or 20 addresses of houses. We actually saw a house a couple of weeks ago that is going to be an interesting project, I think, for us. It's a unique situation.
I think it's too early to talk about it.
I agree. We're not going into a bunch of detail, but the point is,
it's very creative.
They're out there, and it's going to be a super creative thing. Magnetics do have a small cost, and a lot of people are embarrassed to put them on their car. But I'm telling you, the first time you get a deal and you make $50 or $60 or $70,000 from that, you'll be a lot less embarrassed to have those on your car. At least I was. I was concerned when I slapped them on my car.
Me too.
But when you start making money, it's a little bit different thing. So generating those leads is the first thing that you need to do. And then it's having a conversation with that person to find out what their needs are. And how you can help them. Because remember, everybody you talk to, they're concerned about what they're going to get. How is this going to benefit them? And you have to present what it is that you're doing in a way that shows them all of the benefits that they're going to get from doing that. So we're really talking about marketing today to generate those incoming leads. Now, we've talked about a few things that don't require much money or any. So if you've got somewhat of a budget, and remember this, and I heard this several months ago, and it really made a lot of sense to me. When you're talking about a budget for something, especially on something like marketing, where you're trying to build a second business besides your job, your budget needs to be something that you can literally walk out into your backyard, throw it in a hole, light it on fire, and you won't miss it next month, right? It's not going to impact your ability to make your house payment or your rent or buy groceries for your family or make your car payment because...
So it might only be $50.
Right. It might only be. You have to decide what you're going to be able to do with that. I can't tell you how many times I see in these groups people that are like, I did what everybody told me. I went all in. I spent $1,000 on this. I spent $1,500 on that. I paid $10,000 to join this group, and I can't pay my rent next month. What should I do? That's just crazy,
Yeah.
You have to build your business with the budget that you have. Bandit signs have always been a good producer for us. We're not doing them right now because we do radio. But if you have a budget of, say, $500 a month for marketing, you can put out 50 bandit signs a month and add 60 people to a 7-piece mailer where they get postcards or letters from you over the next 90 days. And do that for under $500 a month. And that's in addition to all of these other things that you're doing that we've already talked about. So you'll have several lead generation mechanisms, and doing this consistently will produce results. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So did we have some questions so far? Let's see. Coming in a little late on the mail route today. How much time do you need to successfully delay an auction? Juan, that really depends. It depends on if you're local. It depends on if you have any kind of relationship with those attorneys or people that are crying the auction. The biggest problem that I've seen with it is getting reinstatement numbers. That I'm telling you, attorneys aren't motivated to do a lot of work. They get paid a flat fee generally to do what they do, and to have to contact the lender and communicate with them and get a number for you, that's just not something they're very motivated to do. If you know these people, you can generally call them and get something done like that, not knowing them. And that's still a disadvantage we have in this market.
Right. So if it's a bank that you don't know and in an area, it's hard to know. It takes so much time to get to the right person that that can eat up a whole day. So if it's the last day, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah. Honestly, most people that wait to the very last minute like that are going to have to do something pretty radical to stop it by that point, I believe. And most of the cases, that's going to require some type of legal action, whether it's getting an attorney to file a TRO or trying to do it yourself if that's your inclination, or even filing some kind of action like a bankruptcy, whether it's to postpone it. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't recommend waiting till the day before the auction to try to fix the problem.
But they're not going to do anything if you haven't made an effort either. And if you've had a loan mod and then completely never paid another payment, and you don't make arrangements or don't talk to them at all, the only route you'll probably have is the legal thing, bankruptcy or something.
Right.
Because the bank's not going to do those sellers any favors.
Right. The bank is a bunch less motivated these days to do things, and especially if they've already done a loan mod 8 months ago. They did a loan mod. They let you put everything on the back end. And in this case, this lady put $31,000. They bought this house I think it was 3 years and 4 months. They made payments for 6 months. Then they stopped. They've owned the house for over 3 years, and they have only made about 6 payments on it. I mean,
the bank's not too sympathetic with them.
They're not too sympathetic with them. They did the loan modification. They put $31,000 on the back of the loan, and then they didn't make another payment. And we see that happen a lot here, a lot. So the banks aren't super motivated.
Well, I feel like they're riding it out, and then when they get the loan mod, they get another stay.
Right.
They get another 6 or 8 months to live rent free.
For sure.
It's almost a strategy for some people.
Yep. So back to the lead generation. Now, if you've got a larger budget where you can spend, a couple $3,000 a month, and some people have that and can get out there and do it. My top recommendation is always going to be, based on our experience, radio. You can spend $500 to up to several $1,000s a month on radio, but the quality of those leads is going to be much better. The people are happy to speak to you. That most of them legitimately have a problem. You will have some tire kicker people. We have some people that call us just because they're curious about our ad. What do you guys do? I heard your ad. I like it. So how does that work? We've had people that want to be investors call us and just want to talk to us about that based on the ad. So, but radio is my first choice. Then hiring a VA to do some of the routine tasks for you. Having a VA has helped us tremendously do that, and VAs can be pretty affordable, really. So,
Well, I mean, for example, even if you pay them $10 an hour and they need to post in Facebook groups, how long does that take?
right,
2 hours at the most, probably.
right.
So it's $20.
Mhm.
And if it's, I guess, you can do it as frequently as you want, but I mean, you can make that fit your budget.
Mhm.
I think the other thing that's can be pricey but effective is direct mail.
Right.
I think that's a pretty good one, but it's pricey.
Yeah, and direct mail doesn't have to be super pricey. We actually use a service, and I think we've got a link here somewhere we can give you that. It's really pretty affordable. Was it Sub2? I think it's Sub2 direct mail. We've got that here somewhere. I'm not sure where it's at. There it is. Sub2 direct mail. You can mail postcards.
Yeah, that is a good deal.
Postage included. I mean, literally, you can put them on a 7-touch sequence, and you can space out the days as long as you want. But if you do a 7-touch sequence where you're mailing, people every 2 weeks, you have 90 days of contact with those people for about $4. It's really pretty affordable.
Well, I had a coach before you
Mhm.
that said, you if you really want to get consistent leads and whatever, you have to market. You have to send out 5,000 pieces of mail a month. And I mean, if you do send out 100 pieces, unless they're super targeted, that might not be enough.
Mhm. Right.
So anyway, but it can get expensive if you want to do mass mailings. That's what I'm saying.
I've always been more of a believer in highly targeted,
Right.
especially for things that cost a lot of money. Like mail is relatively, I mean, it's cheaper than it used to be, really, strangely enough. But I mean, when you mail a postcard for 50 cents with postage included, that's pretty dang
Yeah,
good. I
that
don't
is
know how
good.
they do that. But I would rather have a more highly targeted list. One of my lists for years and years was high days on market MLS and FISBO listings. We'd go after those and have bought several houses that way. And I think it's going to come back to that with the MLS stuff, because we're seeing the days on market go up a bunch. And of course, as the economy gets worse and house prices don't decline that much and the interest rates, I read yesterday that the average for a good credit borrower is 7.09% right now. And that's not super high, but it is for the last 10 or 15 years. And people just don't want to pay that much. So
People don't even remember the 18% anymore.
oh no, nobody remembers that. Gosh, that was what that was 60 years ago now. Not 60, but 50 for sure. Yeah. Yeah, close to 50 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, the 1980, 82. Yeah, that
That's
was
40 some.
40. Yeah, 40. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know. But it was a long dang time ago.
Yeah.
And
Right.
a lot of people don't even remember that. So,
But people still bought houses with it.
when I got started in 1999, if I took over a Sub2 at 8%, I thought I was doing really good, because, previous year's interest rate had been higher. So we liked 8%. Now we don't. Now we like 3%, but it's just the way it works. So anyway, I'm not necessarily understanding the difference between how you're using the direct mail versus it's the same one. That's just our link to it. Sub2 direct mail. It's going to take you to Print Genie, but it's going to give you some of our pricing and a couple of the specials that we have there.
It is Print Genie basically, but it's just our link with our discount.
Right. Because we use those guys. But that's what that is. But you have to determine. That was before. Well, Ryan, see, you're a young guy. See, when I bought my first investment property, I don't know, that was 1999. Gosh, you were probably in elementary school. That's why I tell you guys, y'all don't understand how good you have it. Uh, I used to drive for dollars all week long, and I had a certain day of the week I would go to the tax assessor's office and get on their computer with the black and green screen and pull up, manually type in all those addresses to pull up the contact information so I could put something in direct mail. Okay. We did that every week, and that was the only way to do it and then they came out with once a year, they would produce a CD. And we thought that was big time. We paid a lot of money for those CDs, like $400. And then we could have it at home. But of course, they were outdated as soon as somebody sold the house. But that was better than going down to the office every week. But that's how we used to do stuff. That was the old days. Recommendations for a lower budget to get started consistently. Also, how long is the process to get started on radio ads? I'll tell you, to get started consistently, this is what I would do if I didn't have a marketing budget. Okay, I think this is John.
But I wouldn't say radio ads are on the lower budget category.
No, definitely not. Now we have one station here that we run 100 ads a month for $500, and our first deal, and we've actually bought a couple of houses, I think, from that station. But our first deal, the first day the radio ads ran, came from that station. So yeah, they can definitely produce. They can be a lower budget item.
I haven't heard very many people who are getting those $500 budgets, though.
That's right.
I think we got pretty lucky.
That's why luck, man. That's why you need my negotiation course.
No, I'm talking. Oh yeah, for the radio station.
Right. Yeah. For
right.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, some stations just won't go that low no matter what because they're bigger.
Some of the stuff I recommend, a lot of people don't like it, or they say, oh, that stuff doesn't work. But I'm going to tell you, there's a reason people still have business cards. You guys see some of the pictures we post sometimes. We're out having coffee or we're at a certain restaurant, and I leave behind business cards and I take pictures of them. Simple little thing. I definitely have magnetics on my car, or a wrap of some type, or that window printing. What do they call that stuff? The
vinyl.
The vinyl
lettering.
I would let everybody that I met know what I do. I do that for sure. Driving for dollars. If you have friends that do DoorDash or things like that, everybody needs to know, John, what you do. That's the type of things that I would do. If I saw a FSBO sign, I'd stop, knock on the door, talk to the people about that. Cold calling, of course. Most people have one of two forms of currency in abundance. It's either time or money. People rarely have both. If you're broke, if you're just getting started, you probably got more time than money. Later on, when you have more money than time, you hire people to do things for you. That's just the way it works. That's how I would get started. I would let everybody that I meet know what I do. I would have magnetics on my car. They cost about $40, I think, and they'll last a long time if nobody steals them. I don't know why people take them. But that happens sometimes. Do a lot of cold calling, talk to a lot of people, and that's how I would get started. Like I said, when I got started, that's how I bought my first couple of houses, was just picking up the phone and talking to people. I think my third house I bought by mailing. By then I had started mailing postcards to foreclosures, and I bought my third house that way. So all inexpensive stuff, really.
I really like driving for dollars. That's one of my favorite ones.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't cost anything but gas.
Too much traffic.
Yeah, I know. If we go in the middle of the night.
Yeah. So, guys, if you guys don't have many more questions, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. Don't forget to register. To register, just hashtag shared in the comments. Vincent, I remember I was a teenager around that time, talking to girls all night and seeing it on TV. Yeah, Carlton Sheets. Yeah, Carlton Sheets was great. That was one of my biggest regrets, that I never got to meet him. His crew actually came out and did a video segment with me and my family back then. And I don't know if I ever made it to TV. I never saw it. I wasn't watching late night TV by then. but published me in one of his magazines back then. So that was pretty cool. But I never got to meet the guy. It was just some
Because you were one of the success stories.
yeah, when you have actually got out there and bought a few houses, you're a success story, because the truth is most people don't. We've bought half a dozen houses or more that had unopened Carlton Sheets courses in them. Actually, our first deal here had one. Remember that, Jodi?
No, that's right. We're sitting in a pile of junk.
It sure was. The guy had the answer to his problems right there. So
Yeah.
okay. So do we want to do the drawing and get out of here? Do we have any more questions or comments?
I don't see too many questions today.
Okay.
I guess everybody who was on here has already did their first deal.
Yeah. Guys, we're going to miss y'all next week. It's the last week of the month. No goat talk. And we actually have to move next week. So we'll be moving to another Airbnb next week. So we won't be on. So it'll be a couple of weeks. So we want to go ahead.
What's the giveaway this time? Are we doing something different than the mug this time? We're doing
no, it's the same. We're doing the
I thought it was the digital thingy, whatever.
The digital.
Yeah, what you were talking about earlier.
The ebook?
Yeah.
No, all they have to do is go to that link and they can get that for free.
Oh, I thought that was the giveaway for some reason.
No.
I guess I'm on the wrong page.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So let's see what we've got. Let's share that again. If you guys are on here, you can go get the ebook today at sub2deals.com/NREA. And that's going to be on seller objections and negotiation. So get over there and get that. I want to remind everybody to also subscribe to our channel at sub2tv.com. We'd appreciate that if you would do it. And we're going to have the drawing. Was there something else we were going to share? I can't remember.
Well, there's just a comment here. Let's stop before we get out of here.
6 deals down, but no sub-2 deals. We'd love to hear a little more about why you prefer seller finance to holding rentals. Well,
good job on the 6 deals, first of all.
Absolutely. Good for you. Why I prefer seller finance to holding rentals? I'll tell you why. Because nobody's ever going to call me to fix something. Period. They're just not going to do it. And it's just so much easier to buy a house and sell it to somebody that wants to live in it. And I mean, here's the thing, Tyrell. If I buy a house and my payment is $1,000, no matter how I buy it, and my payment's $1,000 a month, and my tenant's payment is $1,500 a month. Now, most people are going to say that's $500 a month in cash flow, but it's not. It's off the top. There's 10% that you've got to put somewhere for management. It doesn't matter if you use a management company, you should be paying yourself 10% for management. So now we're down to $350 a month cash flow. Okay, let's say we rock along for 6 months, nothing happens, and then bam, the house needs a water heater. How much is a water heater now? I don't know, $1,000, $1,500. Okay, if let's just say it's $1,000, there's 3 months of cash flow gone right away. Now, I know the benefits of holding real estate. I know about depreciation. I know about appreciation. I know all that stuff. I'm at a point, I want to live my life, man. I want to be on an Alaskan cruise, or I want to be in Europe, or I want to be whatever I'm doing. And I don't want anybody calling me about something being broken. I don't want to
even a property manager.
I don't want to have to, even a property manager. I'll tell you, the only multifamily I've ever bought, and this is pretty lame, multifamily, was a duplex. The only one I've ever bought in my life, the reason I got it was because the property manager had been totally screwing over this old lady that owned it. I read some of the receipts that came back. I mean, overcharging for repairs and just all kind of stuff. I just don't want to deal with those things. If I put in a buyer that the payment is $1,500 a month and my outgoings $1,000, that $500 is absolute cash flow. Tenants come and go for the most part. 90% of the people you're going to put in with seller financing are going to stay. They're going to pay the house off, or they're going to refinance it in 3 or 4, 5 years. So for that reason, it's just low maintenance is why I like it. So hopefully that explained it.
Mhm.
I don't want to deal with tenants. I just don't want to do it. It's finding people to do the work now is very difficult. It's just tough. Same here. 3 deals, no sub twos. Just keep talking. Listen, you've got to, Juan, I would either move or buy stuff in other states. I would. I've been telling people that for 20 years, as long as I've been teaching. Whenever they tell me it's too hard to do here, I say, well, if it, other people are doing it where you are, find out what they're doing. And if it's just still too tough, move. Go someplace else where it's easy. Do it for 5 years and then go back home, right? Texas will
Yeah,
still be there.
that's true.
Yeah. But there are so many people doing seller financing in Texas right now. It's really big there, but you just haven't locked into what the key is really. So you need to be talking to more people there that are doing what you want to do, or move, go somewhere else, go live somewhere else where it's super easy to do it, and do it for a few years and then move back home. Take all your money and go back home. Move somewhere where it's easy, buy 10 houses a year, and at the end of 5 years, you'll be making so much money.
I forgot to mention before that, even though I talked a little bit about the first deal I did and what it cost, I didn't talk about my first sub two deal,
Mm-hmm.
which really cost me, well, it cost me some money on a credit card, but really cost me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I put an ad, or not an ad, but I put a post in a community group saying, we buy houses and you don't have to fix it up and yada, yada. I put it in I think that one was in the Army Wives
Right.
Facebook group. A girl messaged me and said, we're getting divorced. We can't handle we're behind on payments and yada, yada. I'm yada-ing a little bit today. And I talked to her husband. The house was just in his name. And he just basically handed it to me. He said, we don't want it. We're trying to get out of here. We're getting divorced. Nobody can afford it. And so I took over the payments. No, that didn't take over the payments. I took the deed, but they were behind 6 months, and all I did was flip it. So I didn't make the payments up right then. I put a little bit of fix up into it with a credit card, put new carpet in because it was bad, and fixed the fence. And so I put a few $1,000s on a credit card, and then I just put it on the MLS and sold it.
Mm-hmm.
And I made $24,000.
I know. That was great. And
yeah, that didn't cost me anything out of pocket, really.
Right. Filing the deed, I think. Jodi.
Yeah, that was $30.
Yeah, Jodi actually did her own deed drafting, took it to the courthouse and recorded it. So, I mean,
I did, and just a little plug for ourselves now. That was when I joined this Sub 2 Max group before I knew William very much at all. And I did such a good job on my first deal that he just had to marry me. But
that's right. Yeah, I had to go straight to Colorado Springs and marry her. I was so impressed.
But I did that deal with your help as a coach before we were a thing.
Right. Yeah. It's really not that complex. I mean, my first sub 2 deal, and I'll go back to what Juan's question. You got and Tyrell's question before, I think it was his. The reason you're not doing sub 2s yet is because that's not top of mind when you're meeting with these sellers. That's got to be, how can I make that work first? Because that's what that is for me. I'm going to try to, I mean, we flipped a house a few months ago that wound up being a retail flip, but we still took it sub 2 for about 5 minutes. Remember?
Right.
The house out on the lake. And it caused us to have to bring about $80,000 less to closing to flip that house because we literally took over the payments, even though it was only for 5 minutes. Right. So it was still beneficial to us. I mean, in a small way, but a lot of it is just, yeah, we did it. I mean, these people, they were fine. They wanted their equity, which would have been about $70,000, I think. But we could have written them a check. We could have taken over their payments. It was a really good loan, but we flipped it. And I think we made about 65,000 on that house doing it that way.
Right.
But my first sub-2, this guy, he was getting a divorce. The house was a year old, and he said, I'm not behind yet, but I can't make them on my own, and I need to get it sold. And so I bought that house. It was no money out of pocket except recording the deed. I did the deed myself, screwed that up, but we got it fixed later. But, I paid $10 or $15 to record that deed, and sold it with seller financing right out of the gate. And so, money up front, cash flow every month, money on the back end. I think we made about 25,000 on my first one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that just needs to be, you're trying to structure a sub-2 deal right out of the gate. How can I make this work? If you've got existing financing on the house, you can make it work if the seller's open. So you just have to present it in the right way. And we don't talk about sub-2 with our sellers. We don't mention a lot of stuff about due on sale clauses and things like that. All of that is discussed later. But, we listen to their story. We know if it'll work before we say it. But then we're going to say, well, I can buy your house, but what we would need to do is make the payments for you until we can find a buyer down the road. Would that work? If it'll get them their equity, if it'll get them what they want to accomplish, most of the time it will work. So that's how you have to present it. Okay. Any other questions?
I think so. Hold on.
Tried bandit signs, did not go well, but may work in other areas. It's going to be dependent, Vincent, on, in some places, code enforcement is going to be hard to deal with, and a lot of it will depend on where you put them and how long they stay. How do you handle it when the seller has a lot of equity for a sub-2 deal? Most sellers want like 20 to 30% down up front. Well, it depends on the situation. And the thing we just talked about, these people had almost 50% equity. Could we have made that deal work? Yes, we could have. You can make it work in a lot of ways, Vincent. If what they want down is less than you can get, or the same that you can get down from a buyer, then you can make that work. If you've got private lenders, they can fund part of it for you. Most banks aren't going to do that. If you've got a line of credit, you can do it that way.
Or maybe they'll take some of it later.
Right. That always needs to be your question. If I can get you what you want for your equity, if I can get you the price for your house that you want, would you be open to us making the payments on the loan balance until we can get a buyer? Okay. Well, okay, maybe that'll work. All right. So how much would you need up front? Always ask that question. They don't always need it all right away.
The solar panel house that we didn't work out. They were willing to take like most of it later.
Mm-hmm.
They only needed enough to move for now, and they were willing to take the rest later.
For sure.
I think that was that house. I can't remember for sure.
Yeah. So, ask those questions. You don't know unless you ask. If somebody has a house they owe $150 on, they want $200. If you say, listen, I can get you $200 for your house, would you be open to us making the payments on the loan balance until we can get it sold? If I can get you your equity in full, okay, yeah, that might work. Okay, so if I can get you $50,000, how much do you need right away? And then see if they'll put the rest on the back. Sometimes they will. Sometimes they won't. But you won't know unless you ask. All right. So
and also, if you don't have it, you can partner with somebody who has it.
Right. Yep, you can bring in a partner.
Getting half of the profit is better than none.
That's for sure. And on that note, if you're a wholesaler and you're wanting to learn creative finance, I'm having a hard time with this thing.
Sorry, I got to take that one down.
We've got I think we've got here it is. If you're a wholesaler, we'll pay cash for your dead leads and teach you a little bit about creative finance. So you can go to deadleadsplease.com.
We would like your dead leads, please.
That's right. So send them over to us. You can't convert them. Don't know how to do anything with them. We would love to get them. So send them over. Yep. Okay, Tyrell. Good to have you on here today, man. All right.
That's what I said.
Yeah. So if that's it, we're going to do a drawing here. If you guys don't have any more questions, let's see.
We only had 2 or 3 this time.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see who the winner is today.
We'll get 4.
Juan is the winner today. Has Juan won?
Yeah. Did he win before? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I don't think he did. So, Juan, if you will message Jodi or myself, or send us an email, send us a message on Facebook, get us, and the email is william@sub2deals.com.
And if you already did win one, let me know, because maybe I have something else I can send you.
Yeah, that's right. So do that. Congrats to Juan. Everybody else, better luck next time. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll be off next week moving. Anybody that wants to help, feel free to message me with help for that too.
Don't worry, I have it. I'll take it.
No, man, the movers are coming. Believe me.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
There's no way I would do that.
Yeah. So Juan, get us that information. Is Juan still on here?
I don't know. Hasn't mentioned yet, but
you have to be here to win. He just asked. Oh, okay. So he is here. All right. Well, great. All right. So Juan is the winner today. Get us your information, and we'll get that out to you. So you guys, we're out of here.
Just message me on my own Facebook, not on the Sub 2 Deals page. I never see those for some reason.
Okay.
Send it to Jodi K. Quinn.
Okay. Oh,
no,
really?
I'm sorry, Jodi K. Tingle. I'm thinking of my other thing. That's my old name.
All right. So that's it for today, I guess. You guys get out there, get your first deal, get your next deal, and we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. So get out there and talk to some sellers.
And buy some houses.
Buy some houses.
I was not queued up for that at all.
All right. See y'all next time.
Bye.